Well, parents, listen up. If your kid enjoys reading, this is a segment for you. Mama's Boyz is a comic strip book that's gaining popularity, and for good reason. It's kid-friendly, and each book is filled with history, humor, and a message that all kids can relate to. Cartoonist Jerry Kraft is one of the very few syndicated African-American cartoonists in the country, and he's here to fill us in on his latest book, Mama's Boyz, The Big Picture. Jerry, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you.
Same here. I come bearing gifts.
Oh, well, we like that. You must have got the memo. Why, thank
Yes,
you.
I did.
My new coffee mug of choice. I will always have this with me. I promise you, Jerry.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Look at that. We're off to a good start already.
Okay.
We're going to talk about your book, but let's set this up. I mean, how did you actually break into the business? Because I know that you're a cartoonist and an illustrator. Have you always been an artist?
Always. From the time that I was probably 5 years old and held crayons and stopped eating them.
Oh, there you go.
I just really always liked to draw. And I just knew from the beginning that that's what I wanted to do. I went to School of Visual Arts in New York, and every job I've had since then has been art-related, whether it's been at King Features or Sports Illustrated for Kids. I've been lucky enough to draw.
And to make a living doing it.
To make a living doing it.
And that's always awesome.
Right.
Tell us how the idea behind Mama's Boyz came about, because I know it comes with a message.
Yes. A couple of things. One is, when I was coming up, it seemed like most of my friends were raised by either their mom or their grandmother. So I wanted to do a comic strip that was sort of based on that and gave props to these moms who were raising kids that were as bad as my friends.
Aww.
And then the other thing is, there just really weren't that many strips about African-American characters. So I said, well, if no one else is doing it, that's what I want to do. So the two of them I put together, and that's why I created Mama's Boyz. Why
is there so much Black history involved in your comic strips? Because it seems like it's a passion for you. You definitely have that tie with African-American history in there.
Yeah, I like to put messages in. It's sort of like, you know, back in the day when I used to watch Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids.
Oh, back in the day.
Back in the day. You know, and you would watch it, and there'd be all these little messages at the end and morals and things like that. And it seemed like back then everything was a way to teach kids. And I don't think we get that these days, you know. So when I do my comic strip, if I have to talk about some morals or education or how important it is to read or taking care of yourself, that's what I like to put in there.
Now tell us about the characters in Mama's Boyz, because it's centered around two teenagers, right, and their mom.
Right.
And who else do you have in there that kind of completes Mama's Boyz?
Well, it's mom and the two teenage sons, and mom owns a bookstore. So you got that little tension because the kids don't necessarily like to read, you know, so they would much prefer mom having a video store or a GameStop or something. I have the uncle, who's mom's brother, and I have grandpa, who's a retired chef. He used to work back in the day in Harlem. And then I have assorted characters, the kids' friends. I add a lot more female characters in the last few years because my audience has become pretty 50-50 between boys and girls now.
And we're seeing a picture right now, and inside of your books, it's like you're teaching kids also to draw, to become illustrators. Why did you add that element to it?
Well, I do a lot of school visits, and I teach during the summer at Saks Art Camp and Choices and different places like that. And when I go to these places, the kids always want to see how I draw. So if I go to the Carver Center and I'm drawing and I do this, they're really like, wow, that's cool. So what I do when I put my books together now is I add those kind of things to make it more of a thing where they can look at over and over again.
Now, a lot of your work has been seen in Village Voice. It's been in Ebony Magazine, the New York Daily News. I mean, you offer a little bit of something for everybody and getting a lot of rave reviews. How does that feel?
It's great. I mean, like I said, the main thing is the kids. When I go and see kids and like, oh, Mr. Kraft, can you do this? It's like really a good feeling. So to spend, you know, my day either drawing for kids or teaching kids, you know, I can't ask for much more than that.
That's awesome. Now, I know that the characters, Mama's Boyz characters, were in the past really active with the American Diabetes Association. Why did you want that, though? I mean, why was that a desire for your characters to be tied to the organization?
I just always like to give positive messages. So, you know, I remember reading a newsletter and they said that the African American and Latino communities were just being ravaged by diabetes. So I called up the ADA. I said, look, you know, my characters are yours. And I had never up until that point explained why there was no dad in the strip. And I ended up writing that he passed away due to complications from diabetes.
Wow.
And from then, the Daily News contacted me. They wanted me to do strips on their AIDS supplement, which I was like, AIDS, wow. And I'm about to do a strip on a whole book on organ and tissue donation from an organization out west. So I try to put a lot of stuff because in the comic strip it makes it more I guess, attainable.
Right.
Like you're not so like put off by these serious messages. You take it in slowly.
And the reception from kids has been great.
Yeah, more than I thought, because I get from parents, even kids that don't like to read, they'll use them to get them to read, and then they're like, my kid reads it over and over and over again, which came as a shock to me, but it's a happy shock. I love it.
Happy shock for a really rockin' illustrator.
Yeah, well, thank
All right,
you.
everybody. Again, that book is called Mama's Boys, The Big Picture. Make sure you pick up a copy of that. Jerry Kraft, thank you so much for being
Thank you.
here.